So we're starting the show over again, Mark,
All right.
because it wasn't streaming. Now it's
Okay.
streaming, so people can see us live.
Okay.
And I want to let them know if they want to call in and ask some questions, they can call 985-212-8121. Now, I have with me today Mark Somerville, who is the owner of Norjo's. I've already told him a few little history bits of his building.
Yep.
But for you that are just joining us live, let me just update you. So the building he's in is at 505 Frisco. I know that because I used to go there and play around when I was a kid. I went to school with Robert Kearns, whose father owned Metairie Upholstery, which was in that building. And I found out that the building was built in the early 40s as an ice house. They spent $1 million to build it and furnish it and get all the equipment in, and that was the big problem, the equipment, the expense. And shortly after they opened, within a year, they had an ammonia leak, and they shut it down. And about that time, Westinghouse was coming out with the refrigerators, and they didn't need ice as much as they did in the past, and they just said, well, we're not going to spend another $1 million and reopen. And it was a couple of places before the Metairie Upholstery people took it, and then they sold it to Norjo back in the day. And so now we have Mark Somerville with us, and he's going to explain to you about his wares. And for people that were looking at it, that are looking at it now, don't know that we already had this conversation, but I'm going to make them talk again. Go ahead.
I can't remember anything I said before. No. No, you had brought up the story and the history of the building, and I appreciate you looking into that because that was very, I think it's something that's very important to do, is to kind of know the history of what we've done in businesses, and especially in food in New Orleans. It's a very important thing. And I think that, continuing Norjo's, I bought it 8 years ago. It's been there for over 30 years. Put it this way, it's been there 30 years legally. And
what does that mean?
Oh, I don't know. That's just what I heard. I know nothing. I see nothing. I hear nothing. But we have, we're trying to continue that tradition of these old school businesses, and that's really the essence of Norjo, is keeping the old school New Orleans corner grocery store alive, and that's a very big deal.
Well, we certainly do appreciate you keeping it going.
Yeah.
Muffaladas are fantastic.
Absolutely.
I was talking with a few people yesterday and telling them who was going to be on the show today, and they all just ran rave mainly about the muffaladas.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And that's on the menu today, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all come on by the Yellow Brick House, 535 Florida Avenue, Benham Springs, and you can get yourself a muffalata just as if you were in Metairie. Save you the gas and the mileage.
There you go. And come quick. They're selling pretty fast. They were actually sold. Some of them were sold before I got here. I had people waiting on them.
Well, I know I'm taking one. I just told Chad, wrap it up.
I hope you put one on the side. Look, the muffalata, that's another thing too, It's like, why would you buy a business that it's sold, not its soul, but one of its main features is a sandwich. And I tell everybody, as a matter of fact, it's one of our slogans, is that the muffalata is not a sandwich, it's a muffalata. And the last thing it is a sandwich. But it's a New Orleans food product that predates the po' boy. The po' boy came along in the 30s. We got the muffalata back to 1890. Maybe even before that.
Now you see, I did not know that.
Yeah, because it was when the Italians in the French Quarter were making the muffalata bread. Which, by the way, the muffalata is the round bread, which I'll have to grab one. I got one over there. That's actually the muffalata. The sandwich itself came after because it was just a bread, and someone decided to cut it open and put meat in it and olive salad in it, and that's how we got the muffalata.
What was the bread originally for?
It was just bread. Just bread,
like
just kind of a round,
bread,
So if you look at the big round breads that you see in the stores, basically this one was flattened down a little bit. It was a little bit more doughy, and it would get more air in it. And they actually, if you look at the ones I have here, which I need to get one and kind of show it to the camera, but they actually, when they proof up,
you keep talking, I'll get you one.
All right. When they proof up, they actually have to punch them down, and they punch them with their fist, and to get the air out of them. And that's what gives it its flat, round shape. And it's kind of funny. I've seen them in there doing it. They look like they're playing whack-a-mole, just popping it down, punching it down, and it's pretty cool actually. So let's see. This is what they look like here, and it's an Italian bread too. There's you'll see some out there that are basically more of a French bread, and the way you can tell the difference is that the holes are real small in the French bread, and you've got big airy, puffy gaps of the bread in the real Italian.
All right. So while he's doing that, let me update you on a couple of other things.
It's
Okay, here he goes.
it's the size of my head. This is actually, it doubles as a spare tire for a Prius.
That's a good one.
But you can kind of see right here where where they kind of punch it down like that, and that's how you get the air out of it, and that's what kind of makes it flat like that. If you go to our website, our Facebook page, I don't know if it's up yet, but we have one of these, and it's on the Superdome. It's the top of the dome. I think it's either posted today or it's set to post. It'll be coming out soon. But
Well, have you ever thought about making one as big as a Superdome?
if I could figure out how to make the largest muffalata bread, I would. I'm gonna have to partner with my guys to do it, but.
Well, not to change the subject, but I just throw something in. My son works for Haydel's Bakery.
Okay. I live around the corner from them.
Well, and a few years back, they made the world's largest king cake.
Yeah.
And it went around the Superdome.
Wow. I think I remember
Twice.
that. Yeah. Yeah.
And I was there helping. I mean, everybody was putting them together and
Yeah.
slicing them and putting the sprinkles on them. And it was huge, but it
Yeah.
went around the whole Superdome twice.
Wow.
To make it the world's largest.
That's awesome.
So maybe you ought to think about that with the
Yeah.
muffalata.
So we do the Muffalata Festival. We haven't done it since COVID, and then of course we were trying to do it after COVID, and then Ida hit, and so it's just we got to see what else is going to pop up this year. It's going to stop us from doing it. But we had the Muffalata eating contest, and we have the world's record so far for someone eating a muffalata. It was 11 minutes, and
One muffalata.
one whole muffalata. It was a timed event. We're probably going to bring more contestants next time. But it was funny. We had some football player looking guys, and actually had a couple girls in there, and they had this this whole guy at the end, and he just he wolfed it down. I don't know, man. He did it in 11 minutes, and the football players they were dying. They couldn't get it all down, and that guy just blew right through it. It was awesome. So that's the world's record right now, set at Norjo's for eating a muffalata, 11 minutes.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
Oh, and look at your background is changing now. See?
There we go.
I
The
forgot
technology,
to do that.
man.
I forgot to do that. Hey, oh, you're
Yeah.
green still. Wait, I
Yeah.
wanted to have you black. Hold on.
This guy's high tech, man. Let me tell you.
Well,
You're not gonna get around him.
don't spread that rumor around.
He knows what he's doing on this thing. I don't have a clue, but it's fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm losing you. There you go. Okay, there you go. And I don't even know why I'm spending time doing that. Usually, I can have little things
Yeah.
and we can point to them. Like the
Yeah.
weatherman, he doesn't have a
Oh,
map
yeah.
behind him. He's got
Right.
a green wall.
Right.
Or a blue wall, depending.
Yeah.
And and I learned that trick from Haydale
Uh-huh.
because they painted the whole back of the bakery blue,
Okay.
and they were shooting videos back there.
Wow.
And they had a show on, maybe the Travel Channel or
Yeah.
Food Channel or something years back, and it was called A Piece of Cake.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know if you remember that.
I do know it. A
Maybe
friend of
2
mine was the
seasons.
producer on it. Yeah.
And so that's why I figured out,
Yeah.
well, I got to get a blue wall or a green wall or something
There you
like
go.
that. So is your biggest seller the muffalata or that cheese wheel?
So of the sandwiches, obviously the muffalata is the king of it. The cheese wheel is very, very popular. It's something that attracts a lot of attention for a variety of reasons. It's fun to watch, but it is amazing to eat. And we just love doing it. We take something that is, I think, an authentic Italian process of them doing that in the wheel. It's where it originated, hundreds of years ago. And we take that and add a little New Orleans flavor to it. So we did char grilled oysters on it Sunday. We've done barbecue shrimp on it.
Oh, I think I like that. Both of those, barbecue shrimp and oysters.
I mean, you can't go wrong. It's and so it kind of connects us to the New Orleans food culture, to the Italian heritage, and I think that that's very cool. And we do that with a lot of things, you know. For example, the cannoli king cake, which we have here today at the Yellow Brick House.
535 Florida Avenue.
Florida Avenue, Denham Springs, Louisiana.
And call us in with your questions, 985-212-8121. We'll answer the phone maybe.
Absolutely. And so we have the cannoli king cake here, and of course that combines the cannoli cream with the cannoli with the New Orleans king cake tradition, which is very cool. And I think that's just part of what we do. You know, we've got to keep that corner grocery store vibe. That, like you said, we mentioned earlier. You know, they were on every corner, just like K&B was. And but these old school grocery stores represented the communities of New Orleans very, very well. And they weren't just isolated to one area. They were all over the city, and really still are. There's a muffalata right there, man. Nah. And we want to keep that going, and we want to keep that community feeling, and it's in the store. I mean, I think one of the most satisfying things is to have a business where people come in and they run into people that they haven't seen in a long time. And we're talking a tiny 1,750 square foot store, right? It's small. You know, we're kind of off the beaten path a little bit. You got to know we're there to an extent, and we still get people running into each other. It's the most amazing thing to me, and it's not just because people from the neighborhood; it's from all over the place. I had two guys in there one time. It was just like a Tuesday at 11 o'clock. These two guys checking out, start talking. One says to the other one something about playing ball at Metairie Playground. The other one said, "I played ball at Metairie Playground." Well, when did you play? When did you play? Turns out they played Little League together at Metairie Playground. They were in their early 80s, and here they are meeting up, and they're like, "You're so," and I couldn't believe that. That was very cool. But that happens a lot, you know. And then we actually even get people that come in, and of course the smell in the place. I've got our Norjo seasoning. Shameless plug right there, and we got a little bit of it here, but that smell from our seasoning is in the olive salad and things like that. So when you walk in the store, you get hit in the face with that Italian seasoning smell, and it's something that just evokes so much emotion and memories in people that it's very satisfying to watch. You know, it's very satisfying. I mean, I've had grown men walk in and actually cry because it reminded them of their grandmother's house. You know, I mean, what kind of business has that effect on people? And I hope that a lot do. I hope people's businesses have that kind of effect on people that and I think a lot do. A lot of the really good businesses have customers that come back because they feel good about going to that particular establishment. And I think that if all businesses could do that, you could help change some people here and there, and I think that's what it's all about, man.
Well, very interesting story. I'll tell you, when I was, a young child, my aunt and my uncle had, let me rephrase that. My aunt and my uncle's mother, or mother-in-law, because my uncle was my daddy's brother, I'm getting all confused here. They had a store on Urban and St. Anne.
Yeah.
Madonna's Grocery.
Okay.
And I went to New Orleans Academy on Carondelet Street.
Okay.
And I would take, which is now the post office, and I would take a streetcar to my daddy's office. He was an attorney in the Maison Blanche building.
Okay.
And he'd give me $2, whatever, $1.50. A lot of money back then.
Sure. And
say, go get yourself something to eat, and I'd either go to the Maison Blanche cafeteria or the Rendezvous, I think it was called, in the VH. Rendezvous was in the Maison Blanche, and the can't think of the name of it. It was in VH Home.
The one that was in Holmes's, yeah.
It was started with a P, not Peppermill, but something like that. But I would, instead of going there, I'd go to my uncle's grocery store. He'd go in the back, and they had a little deli, sliced and stuff, and he'd make some sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah.
Still got that $1.50 in my pocket. Right? And he'd say, "You want a drink?" I say, "Yeah." And he'd give me a little pop out of the box or whatever, and then I'd go about my merry way and go to the Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
And that's where that $1.50 went. And then I'd go back to my daddy's office, and we'd go to the parking lot and go home.
There you go. I like that.
That That was me back in the day.
You know, I think again those kind of stories and experiences, you can see that food was part of it, you know, and I think that it's part of it, and it extended even when when I was out in high school and out of high school, and it still extends to certain places today, you know, where you'll go into some of these places that just, they just have a feeling to them, and I think that's I don't think it can be duplicated without the people in it to make that happen, you know, and so I think that the more we can kind of support the smaller guys like that, the better off everybody's going to be, you know.
Well, we're coming up on 15 minutes, and that's about the time I play all my little commercials. However, like I said in the beginning, I don't have the computer that I normally use, so I don't have them in there. So I just want y'all to, do business with people that do business with us. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the Yellow Brick House, aajanitor.com, Massonette on magazine. I think it's 2727 Pratania Street, Massonette. They do fine linens. They even make sales for boats and covers for airplane seats and stuff like that. But mainly linens and pillow covers and slips and monograms. And you go to my rayanderson.com with W, and you go to the sponsors page, and just, if you can do some business with the people that do business with us, we'd appreciate it. Come on back, Mark.
All right.
I got to get that in every 15 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, I'll kind of just add on that a little bit, but I was Gulf Coast Bank for decades, great local bank, and I think that they also represent that, so that New Orleans service and local community, thing that we were talking about earlier with businesses, and that's hard to find in a bank because it's pretty cut and dry. But again, it comes down to the people. The loan officers that I dealt with there were awesome. Everyone there in the bank was great. So it's that is a good example of a very local, homegrown business as well. And then there was another one you had mentioned. What was the one with the food one that you had?
The food?
The net or something? Marinette?
No, it's the Massonette. It's a linen place.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
On Pratania Street.
Yeah, okay.
Which is owned by some people I know since I was a puppy.
Yeah.
We grew up together. I'm not going to mention their name.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want me to say her name.
But that kind of business, I'm sure they do like awnings and things like that. Or
They do.
Yeah.
Just like sales
Yeah.
and linens. And,
Yeah.
I know they've done seat covers for air. They do pillows with monogram.
Yeah.
If you want, I got the best wife.
Yeah.
Put that on there and you bring it home and you give it to your wife for Valentine's Day or something.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
And those, I think that those kind of services too, it's important because really where the small businesses have gone, the mom and pops, which that is, where they've gone is they've lost to the corporate, the big companies. And you can't really fault the big companies. They were all mom and pops at one time for the most part. And not to bring up any names, but we can all imagine which ones we're talking about. But these bigger companies come in and they do destroy the small mom and pops. But at the same time, if it depends on the service and things like that, and the need for and the demand for the product. But that is something that some of the smaller businesses can easily survive because they don't need the 10,000 people a day coming through their front doors. They can make it with 100 or whatever. And I think that for small business owners that are in that position and kind of competing with larger companies or even just more other competition, it really comes down to the relationship with the customer. And if you can maintain that and keep that going and give that service and give them a reason to come back, you're going to do just fine.
And that big size move a lot, and they coming back.
That's right, exactly. And we're very adamant about making that muffalot and building it the same exact way. And whenever I have because every once in a while, I'll get for some reason it didn't get made identical to the way that it's supposed to be made, and I have to go have a talk with the person that made the mistake. I mean, I don't break kneecaps or anything. Don't get me wrong.
I understand.
I mean that they know
nice
of.
Italian boy.
Yeah, but it's at that level. I mean, we just don't. You can't. You have to keep those standards going, and that's hard to do, man. I mean, that's a challenge. I mean, look, Chad with this place. Look, he's working. He's making it work. Look at the crowd he's got in here. I mean, people come just because they they like the food, and they like how they're treated when they come. And I think that's one of the keys to small business.
Well, speaking of Chad and the Yellow Brick House,
Yeah.
not next week, but the following week, we're going to do maybe a 15-minute segment at the end of the show where Chad's going to prepare what he's going to have the following day.
Cool.
And we're going to film it like the old time
Yeah.
shows. You know, like you used to watch the news and they'd have, and I'm talking about today with the high tech and the cameras on the, what do they call them, drones flying
Yeah.
around the studio. Yeah, I'm talking about the old studio,
Yeah.
Tom Fitzmaurice kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was number, I think 869 with Tom Fitzmaurice. Remember those days?
The prefix on the numbers?
No,
Oh,
Tom
what?
Fitzmaurice, the food show.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave everybody a number. If
Okay.
you called in, he'd say, okay, and your number is, and the next time you call, give me your number. That way, he had you logged in a book.
Gotcha.
And I think I was number 869
Wow.
or 689, or so. I'd have to
Yeah.
go back because I hadn't done that in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't think, and you said you can't mention names. I can't. I don't think our children in 40 years are going to be talking about their experiences at Walmart with their friends or getting a sandwich at,
Right.
you know, some,
That's true.
you know, Trader Joe's or whatever. You know, I don't think those days are going to be here. I think that's all gone.
That's a good point. You know, I mean, your stories of going to the Penny Arcade resonate with people. Yeah, I went to the Walmart, and boy, did I have a great experience.
Oh.
It just doesn't happen, you know.
Oh, especially that vegetable
Yeah,
department, right?
yeah. Oh, I went to the Walmart. You wouldn't believe the bananas I bought. Oh my God, those are the best bananas ever.
You're right.
I only paid 79 cents at Trader Joe's for the bananas. No, you're right. It's
Where you get bananas for 79 cents? Where you trade?
I think one of them. Yeah, Trader Joe's, right? One of them. I don't know.
Not for 79 cents.
Wait,
right?
we're mentioning names way too much, man. Come on.
And not getting paid, not getting none of that.
That's right. No, but you're right. It's just not the same thing, you know. It's just not the same thing.
I'm having a problem, ladies and gentlemen, with my little tablet. It used to be, you see, it would stay on, and I think it would stay on for 2 hours before it would go blank. Now it's going blank every 10 minutes. I gotta re-up it. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, that's another story for another day.
And also, I think, you know, just talking about business, if you don't mind, you know, we the economic climate of the past 4 years plus or whatever, well, including COVID, so that's what, 6,
Right.
you know, has been extremely challenging, and it's really sad to see what's happened to a lot of small businesses just because of that. And you know, as a consumer, and of course, you know, speaking of, you know, kind of analyzing the consumers a little bit during this past 6-8 years, whatever, it's been, you know, you can't blame people sometimes because they didn't go out and do whatever, you know, we think they should do. It becomes this survival mode. And, you know, we were very, very fortunate because during the pandemic, we actually solidified ourselves as an essential business. And so we make a lot of our own products, like our lasagnas and chicken parms and things like that. It's the take and bake line that we have. And of course, all of our other products, we got caponata over there, we got Alfredo, we got marinated feta, which I'll have to pull those up and talk about those for a minute. But yeah, so
I'm fooling around, don't worry.
okay, so anyway, but you know, to be in business during those times, it's not like it was some kind of, you know, windfall type of time. I mean, it wasn't, you know, you had people opening, closing. You know, if you look at the amount of long-term businesses that have closed, that's really the scary part to me, you know. And because if the guys that have made it this long are now throwing in the towel, that's a pretty scary
No,
thing.
you keep going.
You
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get you a picture.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold your finger up like this.
There you go.
No, put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, that's going the wrong way. Stay there.
All right.
Stay there. Don't leave your finger there.
This
Do it
finger or
now.
this finger?
Okay, now
That
you
finger?
see.
This finger?
Okay,
That finger?
so now-
Okay.
Well, wait a minute. Wait.
Hey!
Hey.
So
I'm trying to just
I
get
got
it to where we're looking together.
okay. And so,
I had everything set up, but
yeah,
once again, when you go on the road, you unhook everything.
that's right.
You get discombobulated. Okay, you good. You can move
So,
your finger now.
so but that's really the sad part about this whole past 6 years. It's just how what it's done to these old school businesses that the families relied on. And that was kind of a sad thing to see. And like we were talking about earlier, they got these ain't there no more type of stories out there all the time, and it's really a sad thing. Some things naturally just go away. It's part of life, part of the deal. Owners retire, kids don't want to take it on, and it just goes away. And that's a fact of business. I mean, that's not anything to do with New Orleans or trying to save old businesses, whatever. But the reason for it not going forward is economic climate, trying to get people to work, capital investments, which you cannot get anymore. They just simply don't exist. With banks, I think one of the most disturbing things to me is I'll have banks and not banks, but lenders, let's just call them lenders, of all sorts and types, that will say, we support small businesses.
But they don't.
We need to define support. I'm not quite sure what they mean by support. I mean, they're not going to lend you the money. So, it's, unless you can afford it. And if you can afford it, that means your business is doing well, which means you don't need the money. So I don't know. I've always been confused with that. And it's, and I've borrowed, had to do it. And sometimes it works great. And I would imagine that they're afraid of this climate too. I mean, which I don't blame them either. If I was the one lending out the money, I'm like, am I sure that business is going to be able to pay me back?
You're absolutely right when you say that.
So there's a lot there.
I do want to interrupt you only because you talked about banks again. I want to tell you something that's going on right now at Gulf Coast Bank. They having their auction in August, or maybe the August auction. And they do this every year. And what they do is people donate things or put up things for auction. And let's say I'm going to auction off this cell phone, and I say I want $100 for it. The bank auction, they have a big website and 50 or 60 employees handling this auction. And then you'll come along and you'll say, I want to buy that cell phone. So you pay $100 for it. The $100 goes to whatever charity the person putting the item up is for, 100%. The bank doesn't get nothing out of it. All they are is the transactor. And right now that's going on, I forgot to mention that. And they have a lot of Saints memorabilia. They have some condos in Florida for the weekend. They have, cruises and trips and signed Drew Brees footballs. And they got 100 or 200 things on there. And I donated some commercial space on the show, and I said I wanted my money to go to Tunnel to Towers, T to T. But you can make it go to whatever whatever charitable organization you, the donor, wants it to go to. And I think that's a great idea. It had nothing to do with loans, but it just popped in my head. And since I can't run their commercial, I gave him a commercial. There you go. If it sounds like when I do this, you getting lower, you're not. I'm just lowering my mic because it picks up the background and stuff. But you're the same volume.
Okay. All right. Well, whenever you do your next commercial break, I'll run and grab a couple of products. We can talk about those too.
Well, let's look at that clock. Let's go ahead and do that now. We're at 28 minutes, so we were a minute late last time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back after a word from our sponsors, which I'll dub in a little bit later. And if you want to call in, 985-212-8121. I don't even know if this is getting out live, but we certainly are doing a hell of a show today. This has been one of the best ones, technically wise. I wish there was a couple of them I could take back that I did that didn't come out proper, but the shows are great. The people are great. Mark is great. Oh, you're back again? Yeah, Mark is great. Don't swell up his head.
He was saying that while I wasn't here?
Well, and Chad has told me, don't bring religion and politics into the show. But today I'm going to bring a little religion in. My wife is going to be operated on next Thursday. She's having a little bone removed from her hand right in between here. She told me the name of the operation, but I forget what it's called. It starts with a T and ends in an osis, so whatever that means. And they take the bone out because it's deteriorated, and they're gonna put not plastic, but silicone or something in. So just if you got a little prayer list, add a Jamie Anderson to the prayer list. When I get home, she'll probably want to divorce me because I mentioned that on the air. But say la vie, give me another muffalata, let's roll.
Welcome to the club.
And next week we'll have some politics that Chad said don't do.
So, it's funny you mentioned that about religion and politics. By default, we have a few religious things we have to do, like St. Joseph Day. It's just kind of part of what we do, which, by the way, do you know what this is?
Well, I'd have to show my age and put my glasses on.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yes, pasta con sarde. All right, so the pasta con sarde is what you make the pasta Milanese with, and of course you make that for St. Joseph Day. So it's not necessarily a religious product, but it's definitely part of that holiday. And then, we're Switzerland when it comes to politics, right? So, but we do force our customers to do one thing, and they have to vote. And when we vote, we push people. We tell them you got to pick your side, pick the side that you're going to be on, and we have a little ballot box in the store. And when they come in, they have to choose whether they want their muffalata hot or cold. And we vote on this every time there's an election. We put our own issues on the ballot, and it's a close call every election. The hot wins usually by about 1%, but we have to make sure that all the precincts have reported. We check all the hanging chads, and
Speaking of Chad,
there's
Chad.
Chad. Don't hang Chad. But we definitely, and it's funny because when you come in, you get a little sticker that says, "I voted Muffalata Party," and people love it. But that's as much into politics as we get.
That's good. They have a baker that does, not here, somewhere I saw. Hold on one second. Wait, I thought Chad was getting ready to pass by. Chef, come here for just 1 second. I want you to see something. You don't have to get on camera unless you want to come a little closer.
Okay.
That's what it looks like. How you like that?
I love it. I love it.
That's the way it looks. And so I can put another camera here, and every time the little girl passes by with the food, she could just hold it under the food, and I can describe it to the people. Now, we're live right now, so is there anything you want to put your little head down here and say hi to the people? Come on by and get a muffalata?
Well, we ran out of muffaladas, but
You got mine, though, right?
I don't know.
Well,
I
wait a minute.
told you, man.
And last week you ran out of my barbecued ribs, so I don't appreciate this.
Yeah, but you get access though, man. You got access. You're in.
It's not for me, it's for James. That's my cousin. I know she's not on camera. You don't have to worry. The camera's not spun around. Are you my cousin, I guess? I'm married to Jamie. You Jamie's cousin. Yeah. What they call that? Once removed, twice removed, something like that? Huh?
You're in the
Not
tree.
married.
You're in the family tree.
Yeah. And
You're on a
she's in there
branch.
eating that's funny. All right, so anyway, where were we? So we voting for, I vote for the hot muffalata, but
The hot?
sometimes I
Yeah.
buy them and they're
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah.
And I just take them home, put them in aluminum foil, pop them in the oven.
That's it. That's all it takes.
10 minutes.
It's a beautiful
whatever.
thing. It's a beautiful
It
thing.
comes back, it's nice and hot.
Yeah.
You know, and my wife said she don't like that because she says, well, you're not supposed to heat up that olive salad. I said, oh man, that's what makes it good.
Well, actually, you can. Hey,
Look at this little guy.
hey, guy.
Did you get a muffalata?
And he's give him time. We start him young, so. We do start them young, by the way. We have some of our best customers are under 5 years old. Like,
And they love it.
oh, they do, man. They come in. It's funny. I have parents that are angry with me because they come in and go, especially every time school starts, they go, we used to be able to give our kids peanut butter and jelly for lunch. Now they want prosciutto di Parma and Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm like, sorry, man, I don't know what to tell you. So you got kids going to school with Parmigiano and prosciutto di Parma. But yeah, so the hot is it wins. And one other little tip on that is you can get it hot, but you don't have to eat it right away. So when it cools off, you still get the meats are still kind of a little smoky and all from heating them up, even though it cools off.
I love them hot.
Yeah,
I love them hot.
it's the best way. So I did bring a few products, and we can I can talk about a couple more as we go.
You can do what you this. Hey,
yeah.
I'm giving the show to you.
So we're very fortunate that we've got a couple products that are going into grocery stores. We've only got one out right now, which we'll talk about in a second. But we've got this a couple of other products. We're a licensed cheese facility, so we've been putting those out. And this is actually our marinated feta. And it's I don't know if the lighting is the same on this, but it's there you go. But the marinated feta is got a little spice to it. And
maybe that camera's a little better.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, the producer and the host always gets the best.
That's
camera.
right, of course. And then of course we do our pimento cheese. But we're one of the things that I bought a lot of these recipes, and so this is the caponata.
This is what you do with the cheese. The sauce, no?
No. Well, we can put that one on there, but we don't. We haven't really done anything with that one. And then we do some specialty pestos, and one of them is our pistachio and roasted garlic pesto. And this is just a little small one that we brought for today.
And
but
you
these
put that on. I put that on French bread.
Oh, that's all you need, man. That's all you need.
Mozzarella on top.
That's it. That's it. Matter of fact, one of our signature sandwiches is the P3, and it's prosciutto, provolone, and pesto. And it's the best. It's just 3 ingredients with good panini bread, and it just comes out great. The one that's in the stores right now is our Norjo seasoning, and this stuff is pretty potent, by the way. There's no salt in it, and if I can't sell it in grocery stores,
why do you want it?
Why do you? Oh, because it
No
doesn't have
salt.
without the salt. Yeah,
I
well,
like my salt.
that's no. You put it in. It's just you do it though. You can add the salt. And we actually are coming out with one that does have salt, and then and a few other different unique blends as well. But this stuff is pretty potent, and I tell people don't smell it because you'll clear up your sinuses very quickly. But if eventually I think we could probably weaponize this and sell it to the government. I mean, it's pretty strong,
it could
man.
be medicinal purpose.
It really, I mean, it clears you out. It's pretty strong stuff, and we also have some fun products like this one right here. This is the Norjo gnocchi mix, and so the gnocchi mix is basically it's a mix for gnocchi. You just add an egg and water to it, mix it all up, roll it out. You got fresh gnocchi and fresh pasta to go with any kind of meal, and you throw in a protein and a sauce, and you're good to go.
Let me see that
Yeah.
one.
There you go. So it's just a bunch of fun.
I have a pasta machine. And so I would take this and just put some eggs and some water in it.
Well,
No milk?
this particular one, you don't need the machine because all you do is roll it into a snake about that big, and then cut the little small pillows out of it. And once you do that,
okay, I got you. I
yeah,
got you.
and then once you do that, you just pop them
like
in a bowl
a
of
caper,
water.
but then you unroll it.
Yeah, and
Right.
but it's little pillows of pasta, and then you just throw them in the bowl of water, and you take them out. They're actually very good by themselves, but you put a little olive oil with it and some cheese, some Parmesan cheese,
I
and a
forgot to
protein.
mention to you at the beginning of the show, the cost for you to come on is going to be one of those bags.
You
and
got
some
it.
of that stuff.
I can't tell you how many times I've paid my accountant and other people with our products. So the currency is pretty good. I'll tell you a quick story about the currency of trading muffaladas. This happened about a week after I bought the store, and got a guy comes in. He's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad y'all are taking over. Everything's great. I'm glad this is going on." He goes, "I got to tell you," he goes, "I was going to see my sister in Berlin, Germany." He said, "I got on the plane, and he goes, I bought 3 muffaladas. I get on the plane, and I take out a quarter to eat." He said the whole plane, the whole cabin started smelling like the muffalata. He goes, you could just see heads popping up like gophers everywhere, And he said, the stewardess came up to him and said, "Sir, don't you know what the rules are for eating on a plane?" And he said, "No." She goes, "You got to share with the flight crew." He goes, "Oh, okay." So he gives him a quarter muffalata, and I guess they go in the back and eat it. He's getting off the plane in Berlin, and they gave him a whole bag of those little alcohol bottles.
Oh, wow.
So apparently you can trade a quarter muffalata for some alcohol. So
Well, there you go.
that's the highest currency rate that I've seen so far. So, but yeah, I've paid people with muffaladas.
Well, not to get into your business, but
Yeah.
do you take trade at your establishment?
Not really, not really. I mean, there was just usually what'll happen is something like that is that somebody just basically
Well,
you
no,
know
I meant they have
Yeah.
trade companies.
yeah no I know what you're saying. We don't
Barter.
we don't do the bartering mainly because we have some labor costs associated with our product that we almost need like a very quick, it's got to sell fast, and so I don't think we've got room to barter. Margins they're good, but they're not super fat, and so
You're not one of those people that are price gauging, huh?
that are what
Price gauging?
price gauging? No, 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 no.
You're
As a
not
matter
one
of
of
fact,
those people, huh?
no. As a matter of fact, one time we had, I had to
No
go.
politics thrown in there.
Yeah, no, I had to go in and correct somebody because we had these stickers, the little scan bar stickers, didn't work or something. The technology. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
yeah. And we couldn't get the weight part of it so it just printed out the set number, and so it was a set number for, I think it was like artichoke hearts, and so it was that number times how many you had in the container. So it was like a single. So if you had 4 artichoke hearts, it was that number times 4.
Right, gotcha.
So we would put times 4 on it, and somebody posted online that we were price gouging, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. First of all, the price we were charging for these imported, incredible artichoke hearts. These things are unbelievably good. They're soft. They're the softest you've ever had. They're cooked and in Italy and Rome, as a matter of fact, and then canned and brought over here. So to pay $1.50 for some imported product is just, I'm an idiot for selling it that cheap,
I hear you.
And so on top of the fact that we're not raising our prices, and this guy accuses of that, I had to go back and I set him straight. And he was kind enough to take down the post and apologize to me. But that's how quickly people can think that that's happening. Now, sadly, going back to the economic issues we were having, I can show you invoices from 3 months ago, 90 days ago, that is one price. Same exact product today. This is the past 90 days. Is $1 more a pound or whatever. And then when you go back even like a year ago, we're talking double the cost, especially food, that these businesses are paying. So kind of going back to the thing we were talking about earlier about how these small businesses are really suffering in bad economic times and COVID didn't help us and all that kind of stuff. That's the core of the problem as well, right? I mean, you got less people buying, you're paying more for food, you got to raise the price, and then you go back and then you got people that are struggling personally because everybody's raising their prices, and so somebody's got to get cut out of that equation, and that's unfortunately small businesses, and so it's and some of it makes no sense whatsoever. And this happened after Katrina. I remember going in and getting like duct tape. Duct tape was $2.99 for a roll.
It was that much.
Yeah, whatever it was.
A full roll.
A full roll's like almost over $10, and it's just like, we also sell these little licorice candies, right? And those are
Everything
good.
you
Yeah,
talk about reminds me of when I was a child.
absolutely, man. That's what this place does. That's
Black
exactly what it
licorice
does.
and the red licorice.
Yeah, and so we have these little pastel candies, and the company stopped making them because they could not get licorice, and I'm like, why is there a demand for licorice all of a sudden? And because there isn't a demand for it. Just somebody decided to raise the price, and then that manufacturer said, we're not paying that price because we can't sell the end unit. So we can't get it now. So now, and that was a product that people come in for to our store. I mean, we get people angry with us that we don't have it, and that's just happening across the board, man. And it's really, I mean, one of the most frustrating things in the world.
I'm trying to adjust
Yeah.
your sign. You
Yeah.
keep showing only a half of that.
Okay.
So
I got scoot down in there.
I got to take that off. I'm trying
Yeah.
to remember what I call
Yeah.
that.
And the meats, like we're looking at that antipasto tray right there. The meats themselves are just going through the roof, and and I can tell you for prosciutto di Parma or for any prosciutto or any ham product, the pigs did not go on strike. The pigs aren't the ones raising the price, right?
You're right.
It's the humans.
I'm trying to. I should have done this in the beginning.
Yeah, and then I don't want to take up all the time talking about pricing because man, it's really something that you could get on the soapbox about, because it used to be the blame for cost was because of gas. Then gas stabilized and went back down. As a matter of fact, it went down real low. And even where it's at right now is not a deterrent or not a reason to raise prices. But just like everything else, when it goes up, it does not have to come back down. And I think that's the thing that the American consumer does not realize, is that once it goes up, everyone conditions themselves to be at that price, including the manufacturers and the suppliers. And so they're like, why should we go down? You're paying it now. Why would we go down? The pigs don't need the money.
You're right. I understand everything you're saying here.
I have to start a pig union, man. That's what it is. The pigs can control all this.
And bacon.
Yeah.
I used
exactly.
to buy, it's a 3-pound slab of bacon.
Yeah.
See you later, doll. Thanks.
Bye.
Nice meeting you, Al.
Take care, man. Thank you. Appreciate that. Awesome, man. Thank you. There you go. Awesome. Thanks.
It was what am I saying here? It was a 3-pound slab of bacon.
Yeah.
You get it at Walmart, Dornex, Rouse's, anywhere.
Yeah.
And it might have been $9.
Yeah.
It is $23 now.
Yeah.
So now I'm just buying a 1 pound and I have bacon,
Yeah.
sparingly. It's ridiculous when you go to the grocery store with your prices.
I was trying to get to a meeting this afternoon after this in Baton Rouge with a supplier, and I was going to have a knockdown drag out with him about olive oil, and just no reasons, reasons
Are
at all.
you an olive oil aficionado? You know about
I
olive
think
oil?
I don't know. Aficionado is a big word, but I know enough not to get screwed too bad.
You got olive oil.
Yeah.
You got virgin olive oil. You got extra virgin.
Correct.
And you got extra virgin. Now, I know the process of squeezing.
Yeah.
And the first is the extra virgin, right?
Well, it's just extra. It's just extra. First press is
online. I mean, on the air. Well, we're on the air right now, so tell him we'll be off there in about 15 minutes. And he can come back here and talk to me. I'll come there and talk to him. Or he can come get on the air.
Yeah.
Or he can call us up at 985-212-8121. I do not, darling. I'm on the air, though.
So with the extra virgin olive oil, let me give you that real quick.
All right.
It's right on the back of it. And we have the first press is the extra virgin. Okay, so that's the first press is extra virgin olive oil.
All right.
And I'll come back to the varieties within that. And then you have 100% pure olive oil. And then you have olive oil. And then you have pomace olive oil. And what they do is, like you said, the first pressing, the first cold press is the extra virgin. And that's the premium olive oil.
So where does the extra virgin come from? Or is that just a sales?
I think so, yeah.
They put another 50 cents on the bottle.
No, it's the process. And if it's not a cold press, first press, it cannot be called extra virgin olive oil. It's just olive oil. And so it's imagine an orange. You take an orange, you squeeze it. That first squeeze is some rich orange juice. Is what I meant. I don't know what I said. Squeeze the orange. That first squeeze of orange juice is the richest. If you keep squeezing and you put it on the little thing and you squeeze it down, you're getting all the juice out of the orange, but it kind of dilutes that first press. So that's where the other olive oils come into play.
Okay, so they're not squeezing the same juice. That first juice is that they're taking the same olive and squeezing, and that's where
the other layers come down.
wrong.
Yeah, that's where the other layers come down. So just imagine if you're making orange juice and you take it and you squeeze it by hand, you get that first rich
Follow
squeeze.
that
Yeah.
100%.
And you throw all the leftovers into a bucket and you take those and you go back and you squeeze those again. That's the olive oil. That's
the ones they sell in the store, the oranges I'm talking about, not the olive oil.
Yeah, right.
The one that's been squeezed.
Yeah, right.
Squeezed.
That is another thing too.
And that's $6 a glass.
That's right. And don't even get me started on the produce, because that's a whole other thing in itself. But yeah, so that's what it is. And then you have these other you have blended olive oils, and it's very common to blend an olive oil with say like a canola oil, because the chefs use those for cooking.
called again?
Yeah.
Oh, here.
And the chefs use those for cooking because olive oil's got the lowest smoke point of any of the oils. It burns. There's a lot of fat in those oils, and so if you don't blend it with like a canola oil or something, it will burn up. So they blend it and then they cook with that oil so that they can get get the temperature high enough, and then they'll finish it off with the extra virgin olive oil. So that's pretty much how that works. And the news reports that were out over 20 years ago now, the news reports about the people cutting the olive oil and all that, that was something that was going on about 20 years ago. And it really wasn't. There was some false advertising with that, of course. I'm sure there was some savory characters there that put extra virgin on a bottle that should not have been. But I think the problem was I don't know any of those guys. I just heard. This is what I heard. I haven't been told. I don't know anything. And but the blending of olive oil with canola oil is not an unusual thing because that's how you cook with it. And so that's where I think a lot of that was some bad advertising and some characters that did not advertise it the right way. It just simply didn't disclose what was in it. And but we, fortunately for me, I'm able to get olive oils from a few places where I can verify the source. It's kind of like with wines from small vineyards in Italy, which we carry. Those wines are very very selective. You can almost pinpoint to the ground the hectare it was grown on, and that's I think that's important in getting quality products in. So that's something else that we do.
Now, where do you see yourself or Nor Joe's in the future?
I'm glad you brought that up. I bought this company because I believed that it should be expanded to more people. I don't think it should just be kept in New Orleans. So as you can see today, people outside of New Orleans, right here in beautiful Denham Springs, have a strong affinity for what we do. And this was just the muffaladas, and I saw people got some caponata that they're buying, the marinated feta. If I could demo that marinated feta, we would have sold all of it. And I think that we get a lot of customers in from around the state, from South Mississippi. People want this, and I really wanted to bring this unique environment to the rest of the world, and that's what I'm looking to do. We've got an online presence right now. We really don't sell a lot online because we haven't really started it yet, but it's something that if people can experience that community feeling that we have in that store and other places, I think it's going to do very, very well, and I think it's actually going to bring something to the communities that we go into. And so, I get people from Baton Rouge all the time telling me, when are you going to put a store in Baton Rouge? And so, and as soon as I raise $500,000 and hire 25 people, we're doing it. So it's just that simple. Tell your buddy at Gulf Coast Bank I'm calling him.
Joe Uzi, Gulf Coast, he's the president of the Home Loans Division.
Yeah.
Mr. Guy Williams is the president of the bank.
Right.
And I know I have a janitorial company. And we clean like we clean about 5 of their offices.
Yeah.
And each one's got 50, 60 people in the little cubicles and the credit card fraud department and all.
Sure.
So I know all those people.
Yeah.
And Mr. Joe, who's the president of the Home Loans, I clean his office every day personally. And we gave the business to my son.
Sure.
But I'm still there, and I go with my hips. It's kind of hard to get around.
Yeah.
But, hey, I like talking to the people.
Yeah. But I think that is, Norjo has been here this long. That again, in order to save companies like this and to keep this kind of old school thing going, you've got to expand. You've got to grow. You can't be stagnant, and that's very hard to do. And this past summer, and I haven't talked to Chad yet about this, but we talked a little bit the other day. This was a brutal summer. The economy was just grinding to a halt. The weather, especially in New Orleans, 110 degrees, and then it would rain in the afternoons. I mean, nobody's just going out. I'm like, I wasn't going out. I didn't, it was bad. And I think that the smaller businesses, get affected by that. And we had a lot of closures this summer, especially in New Orleans. And I know that Lafayette's had its share of problems. Baton Rouge, I think so too. Baton Rouge has the benefit of LSU, which is great. Obviously, so does Lafayette has UL, but those and those are good for the economy. They're absolutely great for the economy, but it's the consumers that are there during the summers, and when they're not there, because they're not going outside because it's 110 degrees, everything's too expensive, and the air conditioner don't work. They're not going out. So,
well, do you have anything you want to wrap up?
No, but I appreciate this. I love talking about this business, and I hope that people, take from it something that benefits them in some way, shape, or form, and hope to do it again. And I'll keep you informed of everything that we're doing.
I appreciate that, and also one day maybe we won't. I'm going to have you back on.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about what ain't there no more, and we're going to talk because you see. I got some stories about my mother and her cooking.
Oh, yeah?
Because, back in the day, people did not go to the grocery store
right.
and get a chicken made.
Right.
I mean, cooked and baked or broiled or whatever.
Yeah.
I used to take my mother to some place off of St. Bernard, and she'd pick the chickens out, and the guy would wring the neck and take them inside and dress them, and my mama would take them home. And when we had chicken salad, or we had turkey salad, or we had roast beef, or we had corned beef, there was no going to the deli and buying it. My mama made it.
Yeah.
And I got all our recipes. I got about 2,500 recipes.
Wow.
Not from my mother, but I got maybe 300 from my mother.
Wow.
And she used to bake a lot because that's what they did back in the day.
Well, I was my dad. Same story. If you wanted chicken, you go out in the backyard, you caught one.
You wring that neck,
That's
bring
right.
it on inside.
As a matter of fact, the house that they would do that in, I actually own over there by Oxnard Hospital, and it's again, I bought that property because I wanted to keep my family's legacy going in that area as well. And but no, that's what you did, and you just went out in the backyard. Now let's just say, okay, fine. That's one of those traditions that, we're going to advance a little bit with that. That's fine, But I can tell you, if you have chickens, and a lot of people do, because it's starting to become a thing because they're getting the eggs. But you go out and and you get those fresh chickens. I've had it maybe once or twice. There's nothing better, And so that's exactly what we're talking about here.
Well, I have a friend of mine. He's a retired fireman, and he cuts grass, like on the side or whatever. And he lives in Folsom, and he has chickens and goats, and he comes to and he makes hoghead cheese.
Oh man!
Oh my God, he makes the best hoghead cheese.
Oh, jeez.
You remember a place used to be called not Peroni's, Palmays? Palmays on Alva Street.
Okay.
And I used to take my mama there to get her hoghead cheese, and we're about ready to wrap up. I think somebody wants to buy some of your stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'll talk about this story next week.
Okay, that sounds great, man.
With the hog head.
Yeah.
But he raises his own chickens. This is Ray Anderson. Y'all come on out and see us next week. We're gonna be back. You can go to rayanderson.com and see the show. Which is WRAYAnderson.com, or you can go to YouTube.com/Nola Kingfish and see the show. And I'm gonna post it on the Yellow Brick House probably in the next 5, maybe 10 minutes. So Ray out. Have a good day. God bless you.